This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, February 16th, 2007, and this is episode 219 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm your host, Matt Hochberg of MGMstudios.org. On the show today is Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
This, as you may recognize, is a maintenance service elevator still in operation, waiting for you.
Tower of Terror.
Oh, I knew you'd get that one.
Oh, I had my thinking cap on today.
Yeah, right.
And also on the show is Len Testick, author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
How's it going, Matt?
Outstanding, Len.
Excellent, excellent.
And we also have Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
What's happening?
Everything is everything. And we also have on the show today Darcy Vance, who is a expert, professional, senior researcher for the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. How are you, Darcy?
Great. I want a business card that says that.
Yeah, senior web lackey. Yeah.
Well, on today's show, we have a great idea, and it's so good, I can't explain it. So Mike Scopa will. Mike?
Okay, what we thought about talking about is something that sort of is always hinted about, and you know, we thought that this might be a time to talk about it. And that is, people are always asking, what's a good time to go down to Walt Disney World, and what are some times when you probably want to avoid Walt Disney World. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the table, and each one of us is going to talk about the 3 top months that we see personally as the 3 months that we enjoy visiting Walt Disney World, and why, explaining exactly what it is that brings us down there on those 3 months. And also, we're going to talk about the 3 months out of the year in which we would not really want to go down there, and reasons for it. And hopefully there'll be a consensus, and it will help our listeners get an idea as to what exactly draws us down there at certain times of the year.
So, Noel, why don't you start us off by telling us when the best camera sales are?
Oh!
Keep laughing, Hochberg. Keep laughing.
Son of a bitch.
There's so much I can do to your voice in post that would...
Yeah, exactly. Might I say that you're looking mighty fine today, Noel?
Thank you, Len. You will be okay in tomorrow's episode.
Excellent. Will not sound like Tweety Bird.
If I had a choice
or Jose from the Tiki Birds line.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Noel.
If I had a choice of when I could go, which I can't because my wife's a teacher, so I have to go when I don't want to go. But if I had a choice, it would be November, December, January. And that's because, well, holidays one thing. Number 2, the lack of crowds at certain points in those 3 months. The first couple weeks in November are kind of slow, as most of January is kind of slow. You would have to put up with the crowds at Christmas time, but I think it balances out to me. Plus, it's not as hot.
Right.
That's when I would go, if I could go, but I can't. So.
Interesting. I would agree. I'd go for January. I like December, but I don't know. The Christmas thing throws me off. I'm going my month. The way I thought about this is it's got to be flawless or near flawless, and but those are some good things. Scopa, what do you think?
Well, my 3 months are in this order. I like October because I really enjoyed doing the weekend where they have Race for the Cure and Race for the Taste. It's got food and wine. It has it's my favorite month because I love Halloween. I like to go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, and it's there's just like so many things down there in October. The weather is not too hot or too cold. I mean, I can look forward to wearing shorts down there. Not that it makes a difference to me, but
I've seen better legs in a bucket of chicken. But go ahead.
Exactly. But October's my number one month. My second month is either July or August. I don't really mind the heat. I like the idea of getting on a plane with shorts and getting off the plane with shorts. I like the extended hours. I like the I like the crowds to a certain point. I think that if it's not crowded, there's just not that much excitement in the parks. So I like July. Seems to be more things going on. Everything just seems to be more up and running. And my third choice is December because of Mouse Fest, and
If
Yeah,
I
I
had
could go
Soundboard
on
Len
for
here,
lots of-
Scopo, I would say, dude, you're on crack.
go.
At least for your second one, the July and August, I can't.
I
Too
had the
crowded
most
and way
miserable
too hot.
experience in July one time.
Do share one.
Well, then we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But
Yeah, okay.
I think in terms of best months, October is fabulous. It's probably my number one month too because the weather is not so hot that it's unbearable. You do have food and wine, and there are low crowds. I would say that September is probably a second choice because weather's a little bit warmer. You're still sort of in the middle peak of hurricane season, which isn't great. But a lot of most kids have gone back to school, so really the
So
the
Scopo
first or
doesn't
second
go.
yeah really and Scopa's not there. The first or second week of September really is pretty good. I think the third is December because of course the holiday. Decorations are up and everyone's in a pretty good mood. The only thing with December is the weather's hit and miss. 2 years ago, Mouse Fest was relatively warm, but the years preceding that, so 3 years ago and last year, it was freezing.
Right.
Well, I'm way off. I have my best month is February. Low crowds, especially in the first part of the month. I love going then.
It's cold.
It's about the same thing. December, January, February, you can have them either way. I was just there February last week, and Darcy can attest to that it was very seasonable.
Was it?
Oh yeah, it was in the 70s. So it was really nice. I always like going in February. It's guaranteed low crowd, especially the first half of the month. I agree with Len for my second September. It's a great month. It's a little warm. It's a little on the warm side, but it's tolerable, especially as you move later on in the month. But crowds are non-existent, and I love that. And my third pick is going to be May. It's dead.
Ooh.
Because it's post what's it called? Easter, pre-summer, not in hurricane season yet. It's,
Kids are still in school, right?
yeah, it's great. I love going anytime before Memorial Day. You're guaranteed to have the parks to yourselves, good park hours. That's my thing. Darcy, what about you?
I would definitely say October just because I do love the trick-or-treating, getting the candy, food and wine, all of that. Definitely February is it's a short month, but it's still in there. And I like, as far as holiday seasons go, right after Thanksgiving, but before Christmas. That's the deadest I've been in the parks for almost every weekend for 2 years, and that's the deadest I've seen it. But you can't get me there on Thanksgiving or Christmas because on a holiday you just want to avoid the parks like crazy.
Yeah.
And I guess the only other, it would be harder to plan, but the day after a hurricane, there's like 5 people in the entire theme park, and it's great.
Scopa and his family. Yeah.
So if you can somehow plan for a day after the hurricane, even though I never want another hurricane here, but it's
For
very
our new
dense.
listeners, Scopa is a magnet for hurricanes. He's attracted quite a number in his time. Going back to the first that took out Roanoke Island back when the Indians came over to North Carolina. A lot of it.
Seeking shelter with Sacagawea.
It's interesting as I was listening to these. I can definitely tell that we all have our priorities. Like Newell, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. I think you and Scopa, you both enjoy the amenities that you get at certain times of the year, and you're willing to forego perhaps a little bit elevated crowds for the decorations and aura and atmosphere that you get.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Newell?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, me, I think I fall back in more with Len. Those things are nice, but we, according to page 57 on the unofficial guide,
Yeah.
but I mean, I value crowds. I value my time more, and I'd rather be, not having to worry so much about crowds than anything else. And of course, Darcy just goes whenever she
Is
pleases.
told.
It's told. Whatever. Tomato.
Well, Matt, you take a look at this. When you talk crowds, is it because of the queues that are that end up with all the attractions that you're waiting in line longer? Is that the reason why you're not too crazy about the crowds or attractions?
I get such a kick out of not having to worry so much about what attractions I see in the day, knowing full well that the longest wait I'll have is like 10 or 15 minutes in the
Right.
day because the crowds are so low in the parks, and that makes me feel like I have more power to do whatever I want. If I want to go stop and I want to see, something small, like maybe I want to go stop at, Bell's Story Time, or I want to go, see the animals at Animal Kingdom, or other little small things. I know. Well, we're talking, hypothetically here.
Hypothetically.
I mean, if it allows me I can feel like I can do those things and still be able to work in everything else because I know that I'm not going to have to worry about the crowd levels.
You put a lot of thought into that.
There you go. So, with that, let's go with the months that we detest going, the months that we would never want to go down there. And I'll start with Darcy. Which months, Darcy, do you hate when Len calls you?
Well, actually, I started
Besides every month.
in July/August was
Oh,
my
that's
unofficial
right.
boot camp, and for boot camp you have to do the Magic Kingdom every 30 minutes. So I got it down to 28 minutes and was just putting sunscreen on in that last 2 minutes that I had in the 30-minute cycle. So I was sweating off my sunscreen like every 30 minutes. So even though I love the heat, it's if you're walking, fast and you're trying to do everything, the summer months really do kind of catch you off guard, especially if you're not used to it. Like, I've lived in Florida all my life, and there are times where, still there's never enough sunscreen and enough water, so it can be sometimes a health risk too during the summer months if you're not prepared.
So are you just taking June, July, and August?
Yeah,
as
any
months?
of them. Pick them. You take your pick.
Cool.
I would have to mirror exactly what Darcy said. Unfortunately, because like I said, Mary's a teacher, I have to go in June, July, and August. So I know what it's like to be down there with kids just getting out of school in 99-degree, 100% humidity, standing on line. It's just awful. It really is. I would rather be there with a sweatshirt on, freezing like we did at Mouse Fest, than and not dealing with hurricanes and everything else while flying. I would prefer it cold and not as crowded.
Len?
Yeah, I'd say exactly the same three. I had the most miserable July trip one time, where
Do tell.
it was just ungodly hot, and for whatever reason I had worn dark clothes that day to the park, and it was like a magnet, and the sun was just relentless that day, and the crowds were immense. It was like week of July 4th, and
Oh.
and then a storm came and poured on us. We were in line for Haunted Mansion, and after that, the wind came. So we're wet, we're tired, and then the wind came. And I remember, like, in the span of an hour, going from incredibly hot and tired to literally shaking from being so cold in July. I hate July.
That's 1 month. What are your other 2 months?
I would say summer in general. June, July, August.
June, July,
Yeah.
August. All right, well, I'll be
Yeah.
a little different. I'm going to, obviously the summer months are bad. I think we all agree with that. I'm going to go with April. There's just way too many people down there. Everyone's got spring break off, and you're just asking for trouble there. The second half is really just, of December is just, it's the worst. Too many people down there. That 2 weeks between, December 15th and January 5th. It's just a deluge, if I can make a Living Seas reference.
A
of people.
deluge. And it rained. It rained.
And it's just miserable down there when you have those kinds of crowds. And the third month, I'll take that back. I will take a summer month. I'm going to take July. Scopa?
This is such an interesting exercise because what happens is during the course of this discussion, we all tend to reveal, what's most important to us when we go down there, be it crowds, be it weather. It's really interesting. So, having said that, let me give you my 3 months, and you'll see how different we all are. The first month that I would never want to be down there is February, and you're thinking, what? And the reason for that is that, number one, I always look at February and possibly early March, which would be my second month, as two prime months in which several attractions are probably going to be down for refurbishment. And when I'm down there, I want as many attractions open to me as possible. So I'm guessing that February and March are just going to be 2 of those months where that's not going to happen. Number 2, February is one of those months, it's hit or miss with the weather. Well, same thing goes for January. The fine example of that is the marathon. This year it was 70 degrees at the start. Last year it was 40 degrees at the start. But February is a cold, cold month, and I'm not too crazy about. I live in New Hampshire, so I don't want to go down to a very nice warm vacation, and come back to 10 feet of snow and 10 degrees Fahrenheit. I just don't like February because of that, because of the attractions being refurbished and because of the weather. Same thing goes for March. I just don't see anything going on down there, and it's just another month where there could be some refurbishments and stuff. So those are, as a matter of fact, those are the only 2 months in which I have never been down at Walt Disney World, and for those reasons. The third month is. There's another month I think Len said he'd like to be down there, and it was I think it was Len, or maybe it was you, Matt. September, yeah.
You go through one hurricane, one life-endangering experience. It's going to ruin the entire month for you.
No, wait a minute, Matt.
You almost get killed.
I would love to be down there in September for that would be the only reason I would go in September, because it's a hurricane season month. But I also see
close brush with death, and you get all squirrely on us. I can't believe it.
I see September is also one of those months where they begin to kind of shut down a little bit with some of the attractions. The summer months are over, the crowds are over, the kids are back in school. So yeah, we can start closing a few attractions here and there and take some things off. Like, who knows? We know that the Video Globe for the Illuminations fireworks is going to go down sometime this year. Well, what do you think? They're going to take it down during the summer? They may take it down maybe late August and September. Who knows? When the crowds are low. So why would anybody want to go down there when you don't have access to a lot of attractions? And here's something to keep in mind. On those months where you're going down, in which let's say they've got maybe 10 or 15% of the attractions shut down, well, that the prices aren't being reduced 15 or 20%. You're still paying the same for your admission. So, why shortchange yourself? That's why I like going down when the hours are extended, when everything is up. So it's February, March, and September.
Very interesting.
Didn't mean to make it as a dissertation, but that's it.
That's all right. Well, that's it for us today. Before we go, a quick reminder that our next live show is going to be on Sunday, February 25th of 2007. It's going to be at 7 p.m., running to about 9 p.m. And if you want all the details about how you can call in and how to listen and everything, be sure to go to our website at www.today.com, where all the information is going to be there. I also want to thank our super-duper research assistant and part-time blanket assistant, Darcy. Thanks for coming on, Darcy.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it for us today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.today.com. For Len Testum, Mike Scopa, Mike Newell, and Darcy Vance, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.